Hi, I'm Mike Bovington, pastor of the Lutheran Church of the Good Shepherd in Douglasville, Georgia. Today for our Wednesday reflection, we're once again going to be talking about a hymn that's very familiar and a little bit of the story behind it. I would love for you in the comments, either on Facebook or on YouTube, to just give me an idea of some of the hymns that you really like, that you would like for us to talk about. We're going to keep doing these Wednesday devotions for a good long time, so help me out with that. Now for this one today, I know I look like I am ready to go to the beach, and I am. I would love to be going to the beach, but I really have the mountains on my mind. Those of you that know me know that the mountains are a special place to me. They're a place where somehow I get to be more closely in touch with my soul and with its contentment, with its shalom, its peace. It's a place of shalom, of peace for me. Where's your place of shalom? Where's your place of peace? I'll explain to you in a little bit, but I'd like for you, before I play through this, which is Ode to Joy, before I play through it, I'd like for you to kind of have in your mind that place. I'll explain later why, but give it a shot. Think about that shalom place for you. I'm Lutheran. I think I said a couple of weeks ago that I am disturbingly Lutheran, and I think that's true. And so I have to say, actually, it's a requirement to be a Lutheran pastor. I have to say that Bach was the greatest musician ever. At least until Steppenwolf came along, then we can have an argument. But actually, there's so much beautiful music in this world, and of course, Beethoven is one of the absolute greatest. This tune, Freud, Ode to Joy by Ludwig van Beethoven, is probably, if not the best known tune in the world, it's right up there, and one of the most favorite of all time. And it's found in the fourth and the final movement of his Ninth Symphony, which is arguably his greatest symphony. If you missed music class or don't remember, Ludwig van Beethoven, of course, was deaf, which in itself speaks to me of the miraculous miracles of creation. And the story goes that at the end of the Ninth Symphony, the contralto soloist Carolyn Unger had to reach up and tap him on the shoulder so he could turn around and see the thunderous applause for his symphony. And in fact, it said that people were throwing their hats in the air so he could witness it with his eyes, the love of his music. That was in 1825. Nearly 100 years later, in 1907, Henry Van Dyke, a Presbyterian pastor, had become professor of English at Princeton University, was in his shalom place. that I was talking about before we played the music. He was in the Berkshire Mountains. He and I share, our souls share that connection, I believe. And it was in his shalom place, his place of peace, where the words came to him, joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. And he wrote those lyrics. Actually, he hand-wrote the poem, and it was published in a book of his poems in 1911. He also gave those to Lewis Benson, who was a colleague of his, and Lewis was preparing a Presbyterian hymnal. And he sent him the lyrics and said, these have to be put to Beethoven's Ode to Joy. And so they were. And they were published in 1911 in the hymnal. I believe it was 1911. It's a story of a man's place of peace and of our place of peace and of the grace and of the glory of our God set to one of the greatest pieces of music ever. And you play those first 4 or 5 notes. Everybody knows the song, and everybody knows the first verses. The verse, joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. That's who we worship. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, praising thee, their Son above. And actually, Van Dyke changed that line. It was not originally praising thee, their Son above. Actually, it was hearts unfold like flowers before the opening to the sun above. And I love that. The original to me is so beautiful. Us opening ourselves to creation on that mountain, at that beach, at that shalom place, opening up and letting creation in. And as creation comes in, so does the Creator. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness. Drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness. Fill us with the light of day. All thy works with joy surround thee. Earth and heaven reflect thy rays. How could he not see that standing in the mountains? That's where we see it in God's creation. All thy works with joy surround thee. Stars and angels sing around thee. Center of unbroken praise. Field and forest, vale and mountain, blooming meadow, flashing sea, chanting bird and flowing fountain, call us to rejoice in thee. They call us. Creation calls us to rejoice in the one that is grace and that is hope and that is promise. The God of glory and the Lord of love. Now, a number of people delete the 3rd verse because it reeks, they say, of, let me get my right thing here, of universalism. Hang on a minute, let me see here. Thou art giving and forgiving, ever blessing, ever blessed, wellspring of the joy of living, ocean depth of happy rest. Thou our Father, Christ our brother, all who live in love are thine. Teach us how to love each other, lift us to the joy divine. All who live in love are thine. Folks think it reeks of universalism. Maybe it does. Maybe God's love is universal. Maybe that's something we need to ask. But Van Dyke said that came from one of his favorite verses, which was in 1 John chapter 4, verses 7 through 8. One of my favorite verses, too. In fact, it was read at my wedding nearly 38 years ago when Paulette and I got married. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God. And whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. Thou our Father, Christ our brother, all who live and love are thine. Teach us, Lord, please, in this day of riots, in these days of racism, in these days of division, in these days of fear, teach us how to love each other. Lift us to the joy divine. And then the fourth verse has never been in any of the hymnals I remember. And part of that is because the language is sexist, but honestly, it's 1907 when he writes these words. But I think they're words that speak to you and me right now where we're at. So hear this fourth verse. Mortals, join the mighty chorus, which the morning stars began. Father love is reigning o'er us. Brother love binds man to man. Ever singing, march we onward, victors in the midst of strife. Joyful music lifts us sunward in the triumph song of life. Does your Shalom place bring you closer to God? Can you hear that tune in your place of rest? Can you hear in creation the flowing fountain the grace of God? No matter how dark it may ever seem in our life, joyful, joyful, we adore thee. God of glory, Lord of life. Thank you for listening, and may you be filled with the glory of your Creator. Quick announcement. We are looking at resuming in-person worship, adapted, modified, safe, and very cautious on June 14th. We're holding that date still as a target date. We're in constant conversation with those who are in the know and are looking at what is happening. So please know that could change, but that's our goal. And here is the goal. We're going to have 2 services. We'll set the schedule on Monday night, and so we'll let you know by Tuesday what the schedule will be. We have 2 services. One is going to be an outdoor service, and it's going to be done with an FM transmitter. You're going to be able to sit in your car with the windows up and the air conditioning going. If it's raining, even the windshield wipers. We'll try and figure out how to park out there, but we'll figure that out. You and I will have no trouble with that. And you'll be able to listen to the service in your car. There will be communion. It will be done very safely. So those that don't feel comfortable coming back in the sanctuary, those who shouldn't come back in the sanctuary, we're going to have that service. And then we will also have an in-person service in the sanctuary, no singing. And anytime we go into the church, we're going to have to, out of love for one another, wear a mask. It's required. There will be safely distributed communion at that service. And there will not be singing, but there will be our worship together. So we're going to do that. We are limited to 48 people. The pews have been marked off, have been separated. The ushers will be helping directing everybody to a seat. They're going to be a little more directive than they ever have been, because we, as I've said from the very beginning of this, we're going to exercise caution. And at the end, if we've made a mistake, it's going to be that we were too cautious. So watch for the announcement to come. Everything's being put together for our safety, for our worship, for our church. Thank you for supporting the church. Thank you for being there for each other through this. If there's anything I can do, let me know. If you need anything, give me a call. God bless you and keep you. Lord, make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. Lord, look upon you with favor and give you peace. Amen.